Red Bull made approximately $9.7 billion in revenue in 2023. It employs around 17,000 people. It owns two Formula One teams, a soccer club in New York, one in Leipzig, one in Salzburg, a hockey team, and a record label. It produces over 5,000 pieces of original content per year. And the drink, the actual liquid in the can, is made by a third-party bottler that Red Bull does not own. Let that settle. One of the most recognized consumer brands on the planet outsources its manufacturing, because the can was never really the point. To understand what Red Bull actually is, you have to go back to 1982. Dietrich Mateschitz was a 38-year-old Austrian marketing director for a German toothpaste company. He was not a visionary. He was a salesman with jet lag. On a business trip to Thailand, he tried a local tonic called Krating Ding, translated roughly as Red Bull. It was cheap, sweet, and popular with truck drivers and factory workers who needed to stay awake for long shifts. Mateschitz's jet lag reportedly disappeared within hours. He saw something, not a drink, a category that didn't exist yet in the West. He approached the Thai manufacturer, Chaleo Uvidea, and proposed a partnership. They each put in roughly $500,000. They each took a 49% stake. The remaining 2% went to Chaleo's son. Mateschitz's job was to take it global. It took 3 years to get regulatory approval in Austria alone. The drink was so unusual, carbonated, caffeinated, sold in a tiny 250 ml can that authorities weren't sure what category it even belonged to. Some markets initially banned it. Germany restricted sales for years. Red Bull finally launched in Austria in 1987. It was priced at roughly 3 times the cost of a Coca-Cola. This was not a mistake. This was the strategy. Mateschitz understood something that most beverage executives do not. Price is a signal. If you sell something cheap, people assume it is cheap. He wanted Red Bull to feel expensive before it tasted like anything. The high price point told the consumer something about themselves for buying it. The marketing budget in the early years was, by conventional standards, insane. Red Bull spent an estimated 30 to 35% of total revenue on marketing. Coca-Cola, for context, typically spends around 9%. Mateschitz was not selling a drink. He was buying a perception. But here is where the story gets genuinely unusual. Red Bull's marketing in those early years involved almost no traditional advertising, no primetime television, no celebrity endorsements in the conventional sense. Instead, they hired students, actual university students, as brand ambassadors and paid them to throw parties and leave empty cans in visible locations. Empty cans, strategically placed, so that people would see them and assume Red Bull was already the thing everyone was drinking. The product was manufactured. The popularity was manufactured first. By the mid-1990s, Red Bull had entered roughly a dozen markets. By 1997, it had reached the United States. In its first year in America, it sold an estimated 35 million cans. The following year, sales tripled. Then came the decision that separated Red Bull from every other beverage company in history. Mateschitz looked at his marketing budget, already enormous, and asked a different question. Instead of paying to appear inside other people's content, what if Red Bull became the content? In 2000, Red Bull began investing directly in extreme sports events, not as a sponsor. As an owner, they didn't put their logo on someone else's race. They built the race. The Red Bull Air Race launched in 2003. The Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series followed. They created the crashed ice downhill skating event. They bankrolled freestyle skiing competitions, mountain biking championships, wakeboarding circuits. Each event was designed from the ground up to be filmed. In 2007, Red Bull launched Red Bull Media House, an in-house production studio. It would go on to produce documentaries, feature films, television series, a print magazine with over 5 million readers at its peak, a music streaming service, and one of the most visited sports media websites in the world. The studio holds a library of tens of thousands of hours of original content. Red Bull Media House is profitable as a standalone entity. It licenses content to broadcasters. It sells advertising. It distributes to platforms. The drink funds the media company. The media company sells more drink. The loop is clean, and it is almost impossible to replicate. Then came October 14, 2012. Felix Baumgartner stood at the edge of a capsule 128,000 feet above the New Mexico desert, roughly 39 kilometers up, and stepped off. The Red Bull Stratos mission. 8 million people watched live on YouTube. That was, at that moment, the largest live stream audience in the platform's history. Baumgartner broke the sound barrier in freefall. Red Bull got the footage. The entire project reportedly cost around $65 million. For context, a 30-second Super Bowl ad in 2012 cost approximately $3.5 million. Red Bull spent $65 million and generated coverage that media analysts estimated was worth over $100 million in earned media alone, and they own the footage. Forever. The Formula One investment deserves its own mention. Red Bull Racing entered F1 in 2005 after acquiring the failing Jaguar Racing team for a reported $1, with conditions attached, naturally. They spent heavily. They hired Adrian Newey, arguably the greatest car designer in the sport's history. Between 2010 and 2013, Red Bull Racing won 4 consecutive Constructors' Championships and 4 Drivers' Championships. Sebastian Vettel won all 4. The team became the most dominant force in the sport. The global television audience for Formula One is an estimated 1.5 billion people across a season. Red Bull's logo appears in every frame. Today, Red Bull controls an estimated 43% of the global energy drink market by volume. Its nearest major competitor, Monster, holds roughly 39%. And Monster is majority-owned and distributed by Coca-Cola, one of the most powerful distribution networks ever built. Red Bull is still ahead, without owning a single factory. Dietrich Mateschitz died in October 2022 at the age of 78. At the time of his death, his estimated net worth was approximately $27 billion. He had never taken Red Bull public. He reportedly refused several acquisition offers from major beverage conglomerates over the decades. He did not want partners. He wanted control. He turned a Thai truck driver's tonic into a global media and sports empire that happens to sell caffeinated beverages. And most people who drink it have no idea that's what they bought. Here is the lesson. Red Bull understood that in a commoditized market, the product is the last place you want to compete. Taste tests have consistently shown that consumers, blind, rank Red Bull average at best. It doesn't win on flavor. It wins on identity. The brand is the product. The can is just the invoice. Every dollar a competitor spends trying to outmarket Red Bull is a dollar chasing a company that turned marketing into a revenue stream. You cannot outspend a company that gets paid to advertise itself. If this made you think differently about what a company actually sells, there's another empire hiding in plain sight. Next week, the business that made more money from real estate than from hamburgers, and why the founder knew that from day one. Subscribe. You're watching Hidden Empire.